Go to the world and to the kingdom citizens. I greet you in the precious holy name of Yeshua Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, who said in his word, John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Hi, I'm Dr. John Curry, Ambassador, Pan-African, and welcome to the Embassy of the Kingdom of Heaven on Earth. If you want to follow this podcast, please subscribe to JC Global Embassy TV 1. Ring the bell and hit the thumbs up button. Today's message is entitled The African Glory Story, Part 3. The African Glory Story, Part 3. And in this series, we're dealing with kings and queens of Africa, or shall we say the land of the blacks, known today, or shall we say beginning to be known again today as the land of Al-Kabu land. And that is the land of the blacks. And this African Glory Story series is for black parents and students of all ages. And we're going to go in and we'll trust that you can be able to benefit from this series as we look at one of our queens. One of our queens, and she was a powerful woman that did some great things, and we want to highlight her and talk about some of the great things that she's done. Her name is Makeda. That's Makeda, Makeda. And Makeda was Queen of Sheba, and that is 960 BC. Queen of Sheba, 960 BC. One of the major attributes about Makeda was that while being queen, she fell in love with another king, and his name was King Solomon. King Solomon. She was fascinated with his wisdom. So Makeda, Queen of Sheba, during the time of 960 BC, was Queen of Ethiopia, again, who fell in love with King Solomon, and she was fascinated with his wisdom. Let us go in and take a deep dive into what this is all about. You see, the question is, who was Queen of Sheba? Queen of Sheba, according to biblical narrative, was a woman of great wealth. She had a lot of money, just like Solomon was the wisest and the richest man in the East. She had a lot of wealth, and she had a lot of beauty about her. She was very good to look upon, and she had a lot of power. Queen Sheba believed to be the person that the Ethiopians basically was looking up to and looked at her as a person that would lead them. She was also well established, and also she did great things in Ethiopia. She was looked upon as a great queen at that time. Also, Queen Sheba, just for the record, so everybody will know that we're dealing with black people. That's why it's called the African Glory Story series for black parents and students of all ages. Queen Sheba was black. She was not like they portray in the movies. She was not like they portray her. If you try to Google Queen Sheba, you'll find out that she was just a white woman, a European. But no, Queen Sheba was black. So Queen Sheba, as well as King Solomon, was also black. Now, if you went to the Songs of Solomon, you'll see real quick that Solomon said in Solomon chapter 1, verse 5, I am black and comely. So Solomon identified himself as being black, but if you let some narratives or different people tell you about our ancestors and tell you about our history, they love to steal or rewrite or try to make our history their history by painting them or rewriting them or whitewashing them to look white, rather than to be able to express how they truly were on the land of Al-Kabu land in Africa. So, Solomon was black and Queen Sheba was black. Now, if you don't believe that, just go to 1 King, that's in the Bible, 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 1. I already gave you Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5, where Solomon himself identified himself as being black. You see, as God had granted Solomon the gift of wisdom, that is 1 Kings 3, verse 5 through 12, nothing was too hard for King Solomon to do. Again, now you're in 1 Kings 10 and 31. After a particular time together with Solomon and Queen Sheba, Sheba was just completely amazed by him. She walked through the temples and she saw all the great work that Solomon has done and how hospitable he was and how his reputation preceded him. I tell young people this all the time. Reputation goes around the world before reality comes out of bed. So your reputation will precede you. So all the great stuff she heard about Solomon, all the great stuff she heard about his wisdom, she wanted to go and question it. She wanted to find out if this was really true. So when this black queen met this black king, she couldn't believe how great Solomon really was. When she walked through the king's quarters and walked around and then had a chance to sit down with him and talk to him about various things, she was just completely amazed by his wisdom, how his reputation had preceded him. So the story ended with an exchange and resources, and Queen Sheba returning to her place, her kingdom, was in complete awe. That's 1 Kings 10 and 13. She was in complete awe. And the story goes that when she got back, she said the half has never been told. In other words, his reputation was not enough. What she saw with King Solomon was some amazing things. She couldn't believe how great and how wise he was. So when she got back, she said the half has never been told. A black man and a black woman, Queen Sheba, that plays that when they do movies and talk about her, they talk about her from the position of a European woman. It's important for you to know that it's all in the Bible. That's why I'm giving you scriptures so you understand. The Queen of Sheba mentioned again in the New Testament. So it wasn't just in the Old Testament. She was so brilliant until Jesus mentioned her. In the New Testament, by an alternative title, Jesus called her the Queen of the South. That's Matthew chapter 12, verse 42. And Luke chapter 11, verse 31. You see, so this is why I tell black folks many times, our history is in the Bible. If you want to know your history, just pick up the Bible. And when you pick up the Bible, do word studies. Like a word study would be looking at the Queen of Sheba. Research, find out exactly who she is. Your history is in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. The Bible is the black man history book, and they hate it. And that's why when you look at most Bibles today, everywhere there are black folks, they got white folks in those positions. They got white folks in all those positions. When they was the last branch on the tree, they didn't come until maybe 2,000-3,000 years ago. Now all of a sudden they want to rule the world. But I want the young black males and young black females and parents and adults that don't know this history, understand that your history is in the Bible. That's how God coded it. He coded it in the Bible because he knew there was going to be some Europeans that's going to be lying about all this stuff. Remember, you serve a God that is omniscient. The word omniscient is all-knowing. That means whatever he's done, he do it for eternity. He already knew we was going to be in this position, trying to fight back to understand who we are as a black people, understand the civilization that we've been in. He already knew it was going to be. He knew that I'm going to be talking to you right now. He knew it. That's why he said, since they love the word and they want the word, we're gonna code the black African history in scripture. And when the time has come, all we have to do is read the scripture and do deep dives and teach ourselves, and we'll come to understand what they're talking about on these great civilizations throughout the geographical location had to be black folks in Africa. So I just wanted you to know that. So also that Jesus, after mentioning her, he called her the Queen of the South, and then he went on for historical purpose as a means of giving a point that originally pagans in belief of the Gentile, they didn't believe in God. But Queen of Sheba recognized the true and reality of God. Now get that. See, the Europeans say they brought civilization or they brought God or Jesus to Africa. No. Back in 960 BC, it's before Christ, we was already believing in one God. In other words, that's monotheism, not polytheism. The Queen of Sheba was believing in one God, and his name is called Yahweh. Some call him Elohim, some call him Jehovah, some call him various names as pertaining to what he is offering or done at that time. You know, Abraham said this is Jehovah Jireh. Why? Because he was offering up a sacrifice. And when he was offering up this sacrifice, God came in and provided a ram instead of Abraham killing his only son. So he was called Jehovah Jireh, the Lord our provider. So Queen Sheba believed in the reality of one God, unlike the religious leaders who opposed Jesus. So our history of Christianity goes back through antiquity. The white man didn't civilize us. The white man didn't bring Jesus to us. We brought Jesus to him. So as such, they would be condemned for their ignorance and defiance of what was happening at that time. So these pagans, many of these Romans, was not accepting Jesus at that time. They weren't even accepting monotheism. They weren't accepting one God. You know, Paul said that when he went up to Mars Hill, all he saw was in scripture saying to the unknown gods. It wasn't one God. Like many of blacks today are running to various type of God. You need to train your children to understand there's only but one God. His name is Yahweh. When you understand that, then you're taking upon the attributes of Queen Sheba. She was a brilliant queen, believing in one God. Two lessons can be learned from this story of Queen of Sheba. First, the King Solomon believed in her and believed that she was the true and real queen. Even today, some try to say there was another queen. God's favor in their lives proved that whatever God wanted her to do, he allowed for her to do, and causes her to be able to not only deal with her profession, but as well as to look at the environment. The second reputation of the believer should be that not only do we love God and know there's one God, but we act it out in front of everybody. We act it out. In other words, believing in God should be our character. And Queen Sheba was an ambassador for Jesus Christ. She was an ambassador during the time of antiquity. She was an ambassador. Now, if you question that, just go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20. And you'll read Queen Sheba and the great work that she's done and how that we, if we say we believe, we're supposed to act it out. So again, Queen Sheba, a black queen called Makeda. If you want to name your daughter a name, Makeda would be a beautiful name to name your daughter. Makeda, Queen of Sheba, 960 BC, was the queen of Ethiopia who fell in love with a black king called Solomon, King Solomon. And the thing that caused her to be fascinated with him, she fell in love with his wisdom. She fell in love with his knowledge. She fell in love with his understanding. And as a result of falling in love with all of that, she went over to visit him. And when she went over to visit him, in Jerusalem, the scripture tells us that she said, the half ain't ever been told. So I want you to be reminded that as black people, we're all through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. But if you let other cultures and other people teach you your history, all they're going to teach you is that you're the slave. That's why this is the African Glory Story series. I trust you can tune back in with us as we move to the next of this series, and that is part 4. We'll tell you at the next time. I trust you can believe it. I trust you can receive it. God bless you. Until next time.